Before the love stories, before the time travel, before Claire and Jamie, there was a promise written in blood. A promise that would shape everything that came after. Dark clouds roll slowly over the Scottish Highlands, heavy with mist and silence. The land looks untouched, wild and eternal. Wind whispers through tall grass. The screen is quiet at first, almost too quiet. Then, a single drop of blood falls into a calm pool of water. Ripples spread, slow and deliberate, distorting the reflection of the sky. The camera pulls back to reveal a hand holding blooded cloth. We don't see the face, only a trembling hand, worn by time or battle. Asterisk, the voice of the narrator begins, slow and steady. Asterisk, love is not bound by time, nor blood. Some stories begin long before you ever hear them. This one was written in silence, in shadows, in sacrifice. Asterisk, as the narration continues, we see a close-up of an old ring spinning on a wooden table, catching the light from a single, flickering candle. The ring is engraved, delicate, familiar. Perhaps it will be passed down, perhaps it has already changed hands 100 times. Next, a quill dips into ink. A letter is being written with care, but we cannot read the words. It is sealed with red wax, the Fraser crest pressed into it. The camera lingers just a moment longer on the seal before it's tucked away in a coat pocket. Asterisk, the scene cuts to a foggy field. A man stands at a distance, his back to us. He's tall, wrapped in a wool cloak, a sword strapped across his back. A woman watches him from behind a tree, her hand clenched tightly around a necklace. She doesn't call out, she doesn't move. There is love in the silence, fear to dot asterisk, then a sudden rush of hooves. Horses pass through a narrow pass in the hills. Soldiers ride fast, banners flapping in the wind. Danger is near, but no one speaks, only the sound of breath, of leather, creaking, of distant thunder. Asterisk, the narration returns. Asterisk, this is not a tale of peace. It is a beginning born from blood, a legacy made not by choice but by fate. Asterisk, the screen fades to black. A whisper lingers. Asterisk, before Jamie Fraser drew his first breath, the fire was already burning. Asterisk, the screen returns from black with the sound of wind pushing through old trees. Tall, ancient trunks reach into a gray sky. Leaves stir, but no birds sing. In the clearing, a child's wooden sword lies in the grass, forgotten. The handle is worn, the blade cracked. Nearby, two pairs of boots mud-covered and still face each other in quiet tension. One is larger, heavier, the other is small but steady. A lesson passed from father to son, from mentor to heir. But we don't see their faces, only shadows. Only outlines in the fog. Asterisk, the narrator's voice breaks the stillness. Asterisk, a man is not made in war, but in the moments before it, in the silence of choices. In the weight of his name. Asterisk, we see a hand reaching into a chest. Fingers brush against tartan cloth folded with care. Underneath lies a worn book with faded pages and pressed flowers between the memories kept alive by someone who dared to hope. The hand lingers, almost afraid to lift it, as if touching it would break whatever spell the past had cast. Asterisk, cut to a storm-tossed sea. Waves crash violently against the rocky shore. A ship struggles in the distance, sails torn, tossed like a leaf in the wind. The camera moves in on the deck, but again, we don't see any faces, only hands gripping ropes, boots slipping across. Wet boards, a woman's pendant swinging wildly around her neck. Asterisk, back on land, the stone is carved by slow, careful hands. Each strike is sharp, deliberate. A name begins to form part of the Fraser line. The camera holds on it, and finished, as if history is still deciding what story it will tell. Asterisk, the narrator continues. Asterisk, their blood was fire. Their love, forbidden. Their duty, bound to a country already breaking. But still, they chose each other. Asterisk, suddenly, a pair of hands pulls on leather straps tightening armor. Another hand wraps a ribbon around a letter, sealing it for a journey that may never finish. Horses breathe heavy in the cold. Wheels creak. Boots step through mud. Asterisk and then quiet. Asterisk only the sound of a distant church bell. We see a silhouette of two figures on opposite sides of a doorway, separated by inches but a world apart. Neither speaks. One reaches for the other but stops. Duty stands taller than desire. Asterisk blood remembers. The voice whispers again. Asterisk and the past is never truly gone. Rain begins to fall soft at first, like a whisper. It taps against stone windows and soaks the edge of a letter left forgotten on a doorstep. The ink runs slowly, bleeding into the parchment, as if the truth itself is fading. Somewhere nearby, a door slams, a candle goes out, and then, in total silence, we see a hand reach for another in the dark. Asterisk the narrator returns, voice deeper now, edged with pain. Asterisk they loved as fiercely as they fought. In secret, in shadows, with no promise of tomorrow, asterisk a pair of silhouettes stand close under a blanket of fog, only inches between them. No words are spoken. His hand gently touches the side of her arm. She leans in, forward to his chest, but then pulls away before lips can meet. In this world, even love is dangerous. Every stolen moment carries risk. Asterisk next, we hear the clash of metal. A blade is drawn from its sheath, slow, deliberate, not for show, for survival. In a narrow glen, cloaked figures move silently through the trees. Someone watches from above, a scout, perhaps. A single arrow is pulled taut, but not loosed, not. Yet, asterisk the camera cuts to a table set for a wedding. Plates are full, candles flicker, but the chairs are empty. A soft breeze moves through the open window, fluttering a torn piece of tartan tied to the back of one seat. Was it joy, or was it duty? The answer hangs in the silence. Asterisk then footsteps in the mud. Running, a woman's skirt trails through the woods. She stumbles, breath ragged, hands blooded. We never see her face, just the fear in her body, the urgency in her steps. Behind her, the sound of pursuit, dogs barking. Orders shouted in the distance. Asterisk every heartbeat was a gamble. The voice says. Asterisk every touch, a rebellion. Asterisk back inside a stone chamber. A man kneels before an altar, holding a small bundle wrapped in cloth. His hand is shaking. He leaves it there and walks away, never looking back. We see just enough to know what he's left behind. Asterisk a battlefield looms. Thunder rumbles. Flags are raised. But this time, the focus isn't on war, it's on a locket being worn under armor. A lock of hair inside, a name etched in metal. Asterisk in. A world torn by loyalty and bloodlines. They gave their hearts where they should not have. The narrator whispers. Asterisk and paid the price. Asterisk lightning flashes. A lone tree burns in the distance. Horses scream. Then silence again, always silence after fire. Asterisk a cradle creaks softly in an empty room. The wind slips through a cracked window, moving the delicate lace above it, the fire. In the hearth has gone cold, only embers now red and dying. Nearby, a journal lies open, pages covered in ink and small pressed flowers, fragile and dried. A name is underlined twice, a name we know. A name that's yet to be born. Asterisk then dash darkness. Asterisk a sudden burst of movement. Flames consume the wooden frame of a manor. Smoke swirls like a ghost rising into the night. Through the firelight, a figure runs down a corridor, holding something close to close. We never see who, only the movement, the desperation. A bloodstained letter slips from their grip and flutters into the blaze. Asterisk the narrator's voice returns, now with steady weight, almost like an oath. Asterisk before the world met Jamie Fraser. A war of hearts had already been lost, and a legacy of fire had already begun. Asterisk a storm rises across the moors. A single rider pushes through wind and rain, cloaked, hooded, relentless. Water lashes at their face, we don't see it but there. Hands grip the reins like they're holding onto a life that's slipping away. Trees bend, thunder rolls. A blade gleams briefly beneath the rider's cloak. Asterisk then, a moment of quiet, stillness. A stone in the earth is being carved again. But now, the name is finished. Fraser. It's strong, permanent. The rain runs down the letters like tears. Asterisk there. Story is not a prelude. The voice says, it is a reckoning. Asterisk in the final montage, music swells. Asterisk a sword planted in soil. Asterisk a child's hand reaching toward a ring. Asterisk a woman turning away from a shadowed doorway. Asteriska. Map marked with blood. Asterisk the Fraser crest pressed into armor. Asterisk a kiss that never lands, just breath. Just longing. Asterisk a line of torches in the night. Leading toward a castle. Asterisk the screen fades slowly to black dot. Asterisk then one final whisper. Asterisk blood remembers. And so does fate. Asterisk the screen shows a quiet stretch of the Scottish Highlands at dawn. The mist clings low to the earth, and the first light of morning begins to break over the hills. There's peace here, but it doesn't feel safe. It feels like the quiet before another chapter begins. Asterisk soft footsteps echo. Someone walks alone along a narrow path, boots sinking slightly into the wet ground. A piece of tartan trails from their coat. In their hand, a letter sealed with wax and touched, unread. Asterisk every love has its roots. Every war has its wound, and every legend begins with a name. Asterisk the camera pans slowly across carved stones, gravestones, perhaps, or markers of a clan's old grounds. One has the Fraser crest carved deep into it. Someone has left fresh flowers there, a token, a memory, a silent vow. Asterisk next. We see firelight once more, but this time, not destruction. A hearth burns warm in a small cottage. A woman's hands are stitching cloth by candlelight. A man's hand reaches over hers, just gently, and she stops. They say nothing. The fire crackles. There is pain here, but also comfort, endurance, the quiet kind of love. Asterisk the music slows to a haunting violin theme, delicate, but full of tension. A child's laugh echoes faintly in the distance. A door creaks open. The light from inside spills into the dark. Asterisk